Good morning. Today is 20th October. And Baba's talking about the influences of Ravan and Maya, who are not people. So they don't have a gender. It's not Ravan is he and Maya is she. It doesn't work like that. Those are personifications. So in religion, it is very common to personify different subtle invisible forces. And when they do this process of personification, then it means they can't tell the difference between who is a someone and who is a something. Because Ravan is not a someone, Maya is not a someone, but God is a someone. There are many, many people in religion who equate the force of God and the force of evil, that they're two separate individuals, but it's not like that. And so some people think when they extrapolate about that God is the same thing as the force of good. But that's not the case. So it's very subtle, and because the religions are created by human beings, every single one, they basically make it up. And this is why Shiv Baba has to come and say, by the way, you didn't get it right. Let me tell you a few things. And so the Murli is basically that. The other thing that you have in the Murli is about virtues. So people talk a lot about virtues, but how do you cultivate virtues? And what does it mean to cultivate virtues? So we'll have a look at that. So the essence, sweet children, conquer Ravan, the enemy, with the power of yoga. In order to change from human beings, which basically means mortals, into deities, which is the immortals, imbibe divine virtues. So this is a very interesting instruction and quite difficult to figure out. People mostly figure it out quite superficially, but it's very subtle. So we have to think about this. Question: why do all the children of Baba not follow Baba's instructions to the same extent? And the answer is because not everyone has recognized the Father to the same extent. Only when they recognize him fully will they follow his Srimad. So Maya, the enemy, prevents you from following Srimad. So how does that work? You children, therefore, follow your own dictates. Actually, that's not true. Manmat, Parmat, and Srimad is what Baba's talking about here. So Manmat is not your own dictates. Manmat is something else. And this is quite well known, but very infrequently stated, which is a strange thing, but anyway, it is known that Manmat is Parmat that has been internalized, and you take it on. And the comparison of Shrimat and Parmat is basically this, that Shrimat is what Baba tells us, and Parmat is what the conventional beliefs are in terms of religious concepts as well as social attitudes. All that is called Parmat. And when you absorb those religious concepts and social attitudes while you're growing up in that context, they become your own, and that is called Manmat. So Parmat and Manmat are identical. And this is well known, but for some very interesting reason, it is called your own dictates. And it's not actually coming from you. It's coming from the outside, getting absorbed into you, and then you give it back, what was absorbed from the outside. And it's very strong. So, so you children have inculcated the prevailing social attitudes. And then you tell Baba, you experience storms of Maya. So what is storms of Maya? Storms of Maya is that you are linked to the external prevailing social attitudes and concepts, and they are in opposition to what Baba says. And sometimes you come under that influence, and sometimes you come under Baba's influence. And so there are not really three mats, there's two mats. There's Shrimat, and then Paramat and Manmat is the same thing. And so then when you're thinking about yourself and what is motivating you, you have to analyze, are you being motivated by the deepest part of your being, which corresponds to soul consciousness and gels with Shrimat, or are you under the influence of the prevailing social attitudes? And of course, that's the same as body consciousness. So it's very subtle. So anyway, Baba says, children, do not be afraid of Maya Ravan. Make strong effort and Maya will become tired. But Maya is not any lady out there who's disturbing you. No, it is actually the accumulated strength of your negative karma from 63 births that you are having to deal with. So it's actually not outside, it's inside. And the song is, neither will he be separated from us, nor will we experience sorrow. Om Shanti. You are single souls. That means each one is a soul. And so the soul says, Om Shanti. But this one, Bab Dada, Brahma Baba and Shiv Baba, is two souls, double. And so each one says Om Shanti. So it has to be said twice. Om Shanti from Shiv Baba and Om Shanti from Brahma Baba. The father, that means Shiv Baba, is now sitting here explaining to you children. Shiv Baba is explaining to you children, you are sitting here on a battlefield, and it's on the inside, because there's this strong conflict between Paramat and Shrimat. You're not fighting the way those military people fight. But in fact, there is fighting in every home. And this refers to the majority. So the number one problem is body consciousness. That means arrogance. And the second one is lust. So people are living in a patriarchal culture where the patriarchal people, whether it's men or women, are busy trying to exert power over the other people. So that's called body consciousness or arrogance. And then the way they do this is by lust. If it's the males, they do that by subjugating the women. Or if it's patriarchal women, then they subjugate the other women by certain types of insults and put downs and that sort of thing. So it's all very, very subtle, and you have to be sharp to catch this kind of it's kind of manipulation and power play. So this is the battlefield, and when this is going on, you have to be very conscious of yourself as a soul, to be detached. And I think probably a good attitude is to think of it as a big joke and not take it seriously, because otherwise you get taken over by it. So there are many ways to conquer Ravan. You are now conquering Ravan, the 5 vices, with the power of remembrance. If you have the power of remembrance, you cannot fall. If you don't have it, you will get taken by those things. So your battle is not with those people. Your battle is with Ravan. That means your battle is with your susceptibility to come under the influence of those who want to either make you into prey or themselves become predators. So predators and prey is the Iron-Aged way of handling life. And we want to do something different. So in the world, there are all types of situations, whereas here there is just one thing. Your battle is with Ravan. So who is teaching you? God, the purifier. So when you're in these situations, whatever are your weaknesses, they get triggered. And when you're working through all that, your weaknesses, that poison actually is coming out. So he actually causes you to get in big trouble. I hope you don't mind. Is it okay? Because then we learn how to not get in trouble. So he's a teacher in a very practical way. Who is teaching you? God, the purifier. He is the one who makes you pure from impure. So pure means deities. You're in your power, you're virtuous, you are made by Shrimat. So you become the masters of the world. So here in the confluence age, you're becoming masters of all these very subtle adverse and adversarial situations. Here, people do not understand that you became impure through Ravan. The Father has explained that at this time, it is the kingdom of Ravan over the whole world. Everyone is affected by their emotions, their sense perceptions, and their absorption of prevailing social attitudes. So in the same way, there is the kingdom of Ram in the Golden and Silver Age, and that is said to be over the whole world. However, there are not so many people there. You are claiming the kingdom of the world with the power of yoga. It isn't only when you sit here that you have remembrance of the Father or spin the discus of self-realization, and that's all. That's not enough. Keep this in your intellects at every moment. We ruled in heaven for half the cycle, and then we were cursed by Ravan. They speak about the curse. And what is the curse? It is that you've basically lost your spiritual power, and then you have to do everything by physical energy. So you came down. It takes time to come all the way down. You have to come down 84 steps. So each birth that we take is worse than the previous one. So there's no evolution. But there are no steps in the ascending stage. If you remember the picture of the ladder, which we have over here, there is the steps coming down, and then on the side there is a kind of line which refers to an elevator, which is you just go up very quickly. And if there were steps to go up, then how could there be the expression liberation in life in a second? Look how it takes you 2,500 years to come down, and only a few years to go to the top. How long? We've had 86 years. It's quite a few. So you have the power of yoga, and they have physical power. So physical power includes financial power, social power, military power, political power. All these are physical power. You start declining from the Copper Age, and that is the time when physical power begins. There is no question of any killing in the Golden Age. They have shown Krishna being tied to a tree. Well, he was a naughty boy, so they tied him to a tree. But all these stories about Krishna are actually stories about Shiv Baba, because it's not that he was a naughty little boy, but he came in and created havoc in the world because he said, hey, you guys, what do you think you're doing? You have to do it this way. And then they reacted a lot. So they tried hard to stop Shiv Baba's way. So they showed this in the legends as Krishna being tied to a tree. But there cannot be anything like that in the Golden Age. Children there are not mischievous. They are said to be complete with all the virtues, 16 celestial degrees complete. People remember Krishna so much. Something good is remembered. For example, people remember the 7 wonders of the world and they go to see them. What is the best thing to see in Abu that people come to see? Why do people come to Mount Abu? Dilwara temple, right? So the religious people come here to see the temples. There are many temples on the path of devotion. There are no temples in the golden and silver ages. So the temples are built later as memorials, memorials of the confluence age. There are no festivals in the golden age. Deepavali in the golden age is not celebrated as we celebrate it at this time. But what they do celebrate is the coronation day when the king takes the throne. So I suppose every year they will have a celebration about that. There, everyone's light is lit, and you have a song, "The New Age Has Come." Only you know that you are making effort to become deities for the new world of the Golden Age. So you should study very well. Continue to drink the nectar of knowledge for as long as you live. This knowledge is about the beginning, the middle, and the end of the world. They do not teach different languages over there in the Golden Age. They do teach language. Their language is called Brij Bhasha, which is called the original language. And you know, this language of the Indonesia is called Bahasa, which is a derivation of this word Brij Bhasha. So languages, etc., are not taught there. Simply remember the Father and spin the discus of self-realization. That's all you have to do. You are sitting here, rotating the discus of self-realization. It is in your intellects that your cycle of 84 births has come to an end. Now you have to renounce your old bodies and your old relations and take new ones. Baba is inspiring you to make effort so that you become the masters of the land of Vishnu. Everyone else in the world belongs to what he calls Asuri Sampradaya. So it's translated as the devil's community, which is not a very good translation because it doesn't make people understand what he's talking about. But what he means by Asuri Sampradaya is people who are motivated by this way of relating as predators and victims. And if you use the word devil's community, then you think that it's not this world. You think it's some other thing. So, but it's here and now. God is speaking. It is now the same time period of the Gita. This is the confluence age between the cycles. The Father says, I come at the confluence age of this cycle. I am that same God of the Gita. I come here to create the new world of heaven. So how could I come in the Copper Age? Because in the Copper Age, heaven is already past, so that won't work. That is the one very big mistake. So the time period of the Gita has to be the end of the Iron Age before the beginning of the Golden Age, because the Golden Age is the consequence of the Gita. So it's a big mistake. That means we have to prove that the Gita is spoken in the confluence age. And that means by doing that, you're also proving that it can't be Krishna, because Krishna can't be in the confluence age or the Iron Age. So they think he's in the Copper Age, but that's not a good spot for him because he is the first prince of the Golden Age, and there's no need for any Gita at that time. So all this has to be communicated. So some mistakes are small and some are big, and that is the biggest mistake of all. So instead of identifying the name of the speaker of the Gita as God Shiva, who is beyond death and rebirth, they put the name of the one who takes the full cycle of 84 births. So you have to show the difference between God and Sri Krishna, which means in terms of the whole world, you have to show the difference between God and Christ, God and Muhammad, God and Buddha, God and Moses, all these people. These are prophets, they're not God. So you now know that Sri Krishna cannot say, constantly remember me alone. There's more to that sentence. Forget your body and forget your bodily relations. then you can remember one who is bodiless. Krishna is not bodiless, so he can't say constantly, remember me alone because of that. So no one from other religions would accept Krishna as God. But Shiv Baba is incorporeal, Shiva. So they all accept the incorporeal as God. You are the Shiv Shakti army. So there is in India an army called the Shiv Sena, the Shiv army, and Baba, they were there at Baba's time, and they're still there. And then you are the Shiv Shakti army. You have yoga with Shiv Baba, and you receive power from him. And there is no question of male or female in this. All of you souls are brothers, and all of you are receiving power from the Father. Only the Father would give you the inheritance. So you become Baba's children, then you get the inheritance of his power. The yoga power. That Father is the Almighty Authority. Lakshmi and Narayan are also called Almighty Authorities because they are masters of the whole world. How did they attain their kingdom? They took full power from Shiv Baba and they performed karma as he described, and that gave them that consequence. So it is not only the kingdom over Bharat, but the kingdom of Ravan is over the entire world. You can tell from some kings in India that they are part of a long line of rulers which still continues. So even though the kings don't have any political power and they don't have position, but they still know who their ancestry is. So Lakshmi and Narayan came at the beginning of the golden age. So they must have made such an effort in their previous birth to become that. Impure kingdoms are received by making donations and performing charity, punya. Punya is much more than charity. It's a different thing. Here at the confluence age, you attain a kingdom for 21 births with knowledge and the power of yoga. So it's a very, very big thing. You know that the whole of this old world is to be destroyed. The old world means basically the old civilization. None of these bodies will remain. Consider yourselves to be souls and remember the Father. Just say Baba, Baba. Like little children are taught who their father is and they say Baba. So they remember their physical father. The spiritual father now says to you, children, oh children, this is something new. The father says, now remember me, your spiritual father, because you have to return home. So all of this is preparing yourself to let go of everything, including your body, and go back. The soul is imperishable and the body is perishable. So which is stronger? The body operates on the basis of the soul. If the soul is not there, what happens to the body? It immediately starts to disintegrate. When a soul departs, the body has to be burned in a fire, because otherwise it creates disease. Souls are imperishable. They're just points. No one knows about souls. Even if someone has a vision of a point of light, you all have that. But he says, doesn't prove anything. They still don't know that a soul is a point which contains the imperishable part of 84 births recorded within it. Only you have these things in your intellects. Only the one Father teaches you Raj Yoga. All the barristers, lawyers, engineers, etc., they've been around for a long time. Here, you're changing from ordinary human beings, mortals, into deities, the immortals. This is also written in the Gita. The purpose of the Gita is to change from a mortal to an immortal. So people who know the Gita, they know that. They too are human beings in the golden age, but they're called deities. So deities are those who have imbibed divine virtues. You have to make effort to become the ones with divine virtues. So we have to think, what does that really mean? This is your aim and objective. You know what virtues the deities have. We have to become the same. There will also be subjects. Many subjects are created. It's easy to be a subject in the golden age, but requires effort to become a king or a queen. Those who make a lot of effort will become a king or a queen. All those who give the knowledge to many can understand in their own hearts. The soul says, I will definitely belong to the unlimited Father. I will surrender myself to him. I will sacrifice myself to him. Sacrifice literally means you'll make yourself sacred. Doesn't mean give up. So think of it that way. I will surrender everything I have to him. There's a practice of dispossessing yourself of your hidden agendas. People give to God, don't they? And then in their prayers, they say, oh God, when you come, I will surrender myself to you. And in return, I will get a new body, a new mind, and lots of wealth from you. Now, how do you get a new mind? Baba says, I will make the soul new, pure. Then I will get a new body and also receive the kingdom. You are now claiming that, aren't you? The soul says, oh Baba, I belong to you, including this body. Baba, I take refuge with you. Everyone has to have some kind of protection. Especially in India, there is a belief that you must have someone who's your protector in society. Otherwise, they will give you a very, very hard time. So you like to have somebody powerful as your protector. So Baba says, I'm your protector. Everyone in the kingdom of Ravan has become very unhappy. And therefore, Baba, liberate us from this and take us to our kingdom. So, now that you have found Shiv Baba, what more could you want? So these are the hidden agendas. What more do you want? Where are you experiencing some sort of insecurity or need so that you try and get something in addition to Shiv Baba? But Baba says, you don't, that's not going to help you. I am enough. You know that heaven is created through Shiv Baba's Shrimat, and hell is created through the Asrimat of Ravan. So asrimat is the concepts of conventional Hinduism, omnipresence, and all this, and the prevailing social attitudes. So heaven, what is heaven? It's a civilization. Heaven is now to be created once again through Srimad. Those who came in the previous cycle will definitely come again. You become srisht, elevated, by following Srimad. But by following Ravanmat, you fall, brushed, you become corrupted. Now is your stage of ascent, but everyone else is in the stage of descent. There are innumerable religions. Religions also means ideologies, concepts, this type of thing. In the Golden Age, there was just the one deity dharma. We can't really call it a religion because there's no temples and no worshipping and nothing to do with religion. So, but it's dharma. Dharma is a way, it's a civilization. So deities are what they are. That's the deity dharma. It has now been forgotten. And so this is, in brackets, the example of the banyan tree. You know, there was a big banyan tree in Calcutta, which was broken by a storm in 1925. So it was a big news. And so Baba uses this example because the banyan tree is a really strange tree. It grew. They put a fence around it and it just went outside the fence and it just grew wider and wider and wider. It's a huge tree, but the foundation is not there. So it's standing up on the lateral roots. So you know that there are the signs of the deity religion. So the signs are the different memorials, the temples, the goddesses, and all this. There truly was the kingdom of deities, and that was 5,000 years ago. So you have to prove to them that this is a cycle of 5,000 years and divided into 4 ages, each of which is 1,250 years. So those people mean basically the Vedanta people. They have said that the cycle is hundreds of thousands of years. Why did they say this? Because they're looking at time in terms of the effect of time on matter, which is very slow, but with cataclysms every so often, which they don't take into consideration. So there's a lot of difference, 5,000 years and hundreds of thousands of years, or the scientific people think of, what is it, 28 billion years, is that right? Then we have a couple of big bangs and starts again anyway. So there's a lot of, because there's a lot of difference, it doesn't fit in anyone's intellect. So most people think that the organization of the Brahma Kumaris is just one of many other organizations that teach the Gita. But all those believe that God Krishna spoke the Gita. And those people think that this Dada, Brahma Baba, this Dada was a jeweler. And so they're confused. How can he be Brahma? So when they see the picture of the Trimurti with Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar, they get very offended. That how do you say this man is Brahma? You have to prove that. That's quite difficult. The father says, until now, no one recognizes me as I am or what I am. They don't recognize you as you are or what you are. Or you don't recognize you as you are and what you are. So we have to recognize ourselves. In the end, you will recognize me fully. But up to now, you all recognize me number-wise. And this is why you feel it's difficult to follow Srimad. Even very good children, good means they look good. So they even do not follow Srimad. Ravan doesn't allow them to follow it. They follow their own dictates. That means they're influenced by the prevailing social attitudes and the way they were raised and all this. There are only a few who follow Srimad fully. So we have to think about, what does it really mean to follow Srimad fully the way he is telling us? As you progress further, you will know me fully, and then you will follow Srimad. As you progress further, you will come to know me as I am and what I am. Now you are in the process of understanding this. Once you have understood this fully, what more could you want? You must live at home in your families, but Maya, the enemy, is such that she is not she, is it, prevents you from following Srimad. Think about how this works. You say, Baba, many storms of Maya come. Maya makes me forget you. What does he mean by that? Yes, when you make effort with great force, Maya will eventually become tired. So there's a tug of war between, this power of negative karma and the power of God. And they are equal in strength. There was one Murli, I can't remember its date or anything, but when Baba said, by the way, you should know that the force of God and the force of Maya are equal. And the only difference is if you go one side or the other side. There is the rosary of 8. There are the 8 main jewels. And the 8 are couples. That means you do not make effort to become either Lakshmi or Narayan. No, you make effort to become both Lakshmi and Narayan, because you have to be both. Otherwise, there can't be couples. So the 9th is Shiv Baba in the middle. Some make when they make these rings of the 8 jewels, they make the middle one red like a ruby, and the others make it white, like white diamonds. But you can get diamonds in different colors. So sometimes they do all the different colored diamonds. Shiv Baba is just a point, and a point cannot be red. A point is always white. It's very subtle. So when you see a point, right, it's always white. You don't see red point, right? You always see a white point. Baba says it's very subtle. No one can see it except in divine vision. Doctors try hard to see it, but they are unable to see it because it's very subtle. This is why it is asked, you say that you are a soul. Okay, have you ever seen a soul? If you're unable to see yourself, how could you see the Father? You have to know about souls. and how they have a part recorded in them. But no one knows this at all. And so instead of 84 births, they speak of 8.4 million births. So the Father comes and explains everything to you children. They think there are 8.4 million species, and then you take birth in all of them, and eventually you become a human being, which is supposed to be the best thing, except that you don't become a very good one, then you have to start again. So it's not a very clear explanation. What is the Bharat of today? And what will be the Bharat of tomorrow? If you look at very old paintings of India, there you see what it was like. And that was still the Iron Age. So very difficult to imagine what the Golden Age would be like. All of our pictures are nothing like it. As people who have seen it envision that they can see it, but there is also the Mahabharat war. The knowledge of the Gita has been given, and this is also the sacrificial fire of Rudra. All religions are to be destroyed, and one religion is being established. So these religions are basically man-made religions, started by different prophets. And this is not really a religion like that, but a dharma. And this is Shiv Baba's Bandhara at the kitchen. You receive pure food here. Only Brahmins prepare this food. And this is why its praise is limitless. You will become pure through this and become the masters of the pure food. So this is why pure food is very good. The more elevated you become, the purer your food will be. If a Yog-Yukt person prepares your food, you receive a lot of power, a lot of vibrations. You will find such people as you make further progress. Serviceable children who live at centers should prepare food themselves and eat that, because they can get a lot of power from that. So don't find somebody else to cook your food. You cook your food. Just as a faithful and obedient wife doesn't remember anyone except her husband, in the same way you children should also prepare and eat food in the remembrance, and you will receive a lot of power. So the wife is dedicated to her husband and makes food for him and all that. By staying in remembrance of Baba, you claim the kingdom of the world. Baba advises you, but still it doesn't as yet sit in anyone's intellect. As you progress further, it is possible that some of you will say, I remain Yog-Yukt and prepare food myself so that everyone can benefit. So it's not that every BK is a good yogi. Some are good yogis. And, when the BKs started in London in the 70s, and when Dadi Janki came, she used to make the food. And she was a top yogi. And she used to invite us to come and eat. And it was really very, very important to see that top yogis make the best food with the best vibrations. The Father gives you children directions for everything. The picture of the Trimurti should be in front of you, because you have to claim your inheritance, that means Vishnu, from Shiv Baba, who's the creator of the Trimurti. So the Trimurti is basically the architectural plans for being a Raj Yogi. Why? You have to become Brahmins, and the simplicity and the study. Then you have to do yoga, which is the Shankar, which means be bodiless, and then you'll become Vishnu. Continue to create one method or another. Baba gives his own example. On the path of devotion, I used to have a lot of love for the picture of Narayan. And while remembering him, I would get tears in my eyes because I had disinterest, vairagya from the world at that time. So Brahma Baba actually wanted to be a sannyasi, but didn't work out because he went to the movies and thought, oh, I will fall in love. And then he said, oh, I got caught. In my childhood, I had this attitude of disinterest. But these are unlimited matters. Nevertheless, you are then told, man mana bhav. Perceive the mind of God with your mind. Only by staying in yoga will you become sato pradhan from tamo pradhan. So have concern to stay in remembrance. You receive Shrimat, and the Father says, remember me. I am the creator of the world. And you will also become the masters of that new world. Otherwise, there will be punishment. Not that Baba will punish you, but automatically there will be, status will be destroyed. Your status will be destroyed means that you may be enjoying a status in the confluence age and people respect you. But if your karma is not correct, then that will come out and then you'll lose your status. So then you won't lose face. So that will not be nice. You children must have concern of how to become Sato Pradhan before you die. You definitely have to remember the Father. This is the greatest concern of all. Acha. To the sweetest beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning. From the mother, the father, Bab-Dada, and the spiritual father says namaste. To the spiritual children say namaste to spiritual father. For the essence for dharana, remain Murli Oct and take the food you have prepared yourself. To go to the pure world, eat only pure food, because in this there is power. Secondly, to receive a new body, a new mind, and wealth, surrender everything old that you have to the Father. Surrender yourself completely, including your body, to the Father. And the blessing, may you be a great soul who gives happiness to all souls with your elevated interaction. All souls receive donations of happiness. Donation of happiness means when you are interacting with someone and you make them feel good and you're a good example for them, maybe that's a donation of happiness. So all souls receive donations of happiness from every type of interaction with great souls who give happiness and receive happiness. So check. In terms of being a great soul, did I give everyone happiness throughout the day? Did I perform charitable acts of punya? It's different from charity, but punya means to give someone something with which that soul gives blessings in return to you. So check. Do I receive blessings from all souls? If you're not very nice to somebody, are they going to give you blessings? Not really, right? They will talk about you behind your back. get something else. So did I give or take sorrow from any soul? I like to change this word sorrow into the word harm, because it's much easier to check if you actually did something which was harmful to someone. Because you can do something good and they take sorrow, but that's not your problem, that's their problem. But if you harm someone, that's your negative karma, so it's easier to check. And so sometimes people do quite nasty things to you. This is the world. And then in that case, how do you feel? Can you manage it? Can you handle it? Do you care about it? Does it matter? Not really. It doesn't actually change who you are, right? If somebody's nasty to you or does something bad to you, it doesn't change who you are. But they do that because they want to be in a position of power over you and diminish you. But you don't have to go along with that. That's optional. It's okay, right? Otherwise, why does Baba give us the 8 powers? If we didn't need them, he wouldn't give them. He gives us the weapons we need. So, no taking of this type of damage or no doing any damage from any soul, then you can be called a great soul. And the slogan, to think about something after you've done it, that doesn't mean to think about it, it means to regret it. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That is a form of repentance. Om Shanti.